Do I even do it?
That's a rude picture that you just posted on Twitter.
Oh, what's all this?
How dare you?
What's all this?
How dare you?
What are you talking about?
I don't like that.
Wait a second. What are you talking about?
I don't like what you posted on Twitter.
I just right now posted that we're recording the show.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so there's
caught
two
me at
pictures.
an inopportune moment, I would say.
The first one is very stern looking, you very cute, and the second one is actually awesome. Holy
No, it's
That
not
is awesome.
Awesome. I was not pleased with that.
That is great.
No, I
Yes.
don't like that. Take that down.
That is, I would rather divorce you and burn in hell.
Take that down.
That is
That's
great.
rude. No.
That is, this is fantastic.
How dare you?
This is fantastic.
What's fantastic about
Woo.
that? Nothing is fantastic about
So
that.
you guys can follow me on Twitter.
I don't
and
like
get
that.
the picture before Alice complains to Twitter and it gets taken down. Screenshot this baby. This is a great picture. Alice, you look quite beautiful and quite sexy. I'm sort. Oh, like you don't love it, please.
Stop. I don't like that.
Like I don't like that. Okay, we'll play this game, Alice. That's fine. I don't like that. There was never any cocaine or me in a bikini on a yacht.
There was
somewhere in
none
the
of those
world.
things.
I have no idea. No, never, Alice. Did you take finishing courses? Did you take courses at the Ritz? Alice?
I did take courses
Okay.
at the Ritz.
Okay.
That's true.
Very good. All right. Here we go. Once again, follow me on Twitter if you'd like to. Burn Barrel Podcast. You can see great pictures of Alice.
That's rude.
Holy heck.
I'm
like worried. Okay, I won't tell you what I'm worried about. You know my...
You are. You've said this before. You can say that.
I've said it on the air?
I don't know if you said it on the air, but you're concerned that if I lose weight, that my
Yes.
boobs will get smaller. That's what you're worried about.
Yes. I'm very worried about this. And I believe if you look closely at our prenup, it mentions...
I don't think that that's the case.
I don't want them to go away, Alice.
What are you... I mean, I've always... Why would they disappear? I had them when I was skinny, too.
Okay. But they've been in excellent form here since they've been repatriated. And I want to make sure that they don't go away.
They're not going anywhere.
Okay? I keep myself supple for you. Least you can do.
You know what? Well, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
If when I get skinny, my boobs go away, I'll just get fat again for you.
You're certainly not fat. By the way, you lost weight. Oh, this is a nice double switch screw job I got from Alice today.
I lost more weight than you this week at our weigh-in.
It is the scandal I call Winfrey Gate that has happened thanks to Alice Shattuck, who plied me with Okra Winfrey.
You
last
bought
week.
okra because...
She told me to get it, Okra
That's
Winfrey.
not
So
true.
I was eating this horrific liquid frigging Vice Squad evidence room stuff called okra, which was awful. And we were eating it all
You
last
liked
week.
the okra.
She gave me the list of stuff to get. So I'm eating
And
okra, and
okra
I found out
wasn't on
today.
it.
And I found out today now that okra has more carbs than angel hair spaghetti.
That's
so I
not
gained weight
true.
last week.
You didn't gain weight.
Jeez.
You lost 2 pounds.
What a suck job. This
You're
is,
still ahead of me. You still have
pulled,
lost...
No, as they would say in Top Gun, you hit the brakes and I
I
flew
ate
right
as much
by.
okra as you. I trusted
No, you
I
didn't.
gave you a list.
You
bought
know-
okra. I
you
assumed
know what
okra was
carbs
on the
do to me.
list.
You know what carbs do to me.
I gave you a
Well,
list.
there you go. So it worked, but
that
now I'm
had
going to get my
okra.
revenge. Going to get my revenge. Obviously,
What's
you
your
started.
revenge?
You've seen I've already started with revenge porn, but now I'm going to.
I'm reporting you to the police.
So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I don't want to spend too much time on this because, like, I want you to analyze this for me, and you tell me the right things to feel emotionally.
Received well by everyone in Congress. Senator Mitch McConnell says that this plan is a slap in the face to working class families. Let me ask you, what do you say to a family that says, listen, I just spent years paying off my debt. I didn't have the federal government helping me out, bailing me out, and now I may be doing just that for a family that at some point may be earning more than I do.
Look, I'm not at all surprised that Mitch McConnell is attacking this. And the reason he's attacking it is because it is very, very popular. Popular among Democrats, independents, Republicans, popular. And you know why? Because I don't think there's anybody left in America who doesn't know somebody who isn't struggling with student loan debt. This has become a part of our country now. People for whom their only sin was to want to try to get an education and not be in a family that could afford to write a check for it. And what we're saying is, as a nation, we can do better than that. We can invest in our people. We can help our people. And ultimately, what the data show us is that because of student loan debt, there are many people who don't move out of their mama's basement, who can't save up money to...
Anyway, so go right ahead. The only sin was wanting to get an education and not having the money, the parents who write the check right then.
I mean, that's obviously ridiculous. First of all, there's lots of scholarships and stuff out there that are not loan-based, especially for top-tier schools. A lot of it is grant money, right? Not loans. So that's the sort of first of all. Second of all, I mean, the college that most of these people are getting is a scam for them. And Liz Warren is part of that scam. Mm-hmm. She's part of the enrichment of a woke elite that are absolutely just bettering themselves on the backs of people who have no business going to college because it's not going to do anything for them. And I don't mean that in an elitist way. I mean that in a way like they should be doing things that I don't know how to do. Like, I mean, plumbers, electricians, trades, those trades are hiring like crazy. They can't find enough people to fill these roles. You could be making $80,000 a year right now, whereas, like, what are you going to do? Go be a marketing assistant at some company for $35,000? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we are signing up young people who are not going to get anything out of college except be taught to hate white people and charging them $60,000 a year to do so. It's absolutely obscene that people who end up being Starbucks baristas are going to college, and the people that are going to be fine either way, we're also forgiving their loans. The whole thing makes no sense at any level, right? But it's really just like a money laundering operation to these stupid woke tax-free hedge funds that we call colleges that have these huge endowments that are essentially just big investments at this point. And I mean, like, the kids could go there. Harvard could send every kid to Harvard for free that gets in. You know, they don't have to charge anybody anything and their endowment would still keep growing. It's absurd, you know, how much money these places have and like the facilities that they have and all this stuff. That's where the money's flowing. It's not to help the borrowers. Liz Warren doesn't care about the borrowers. Joe Biden doesn't care about the borrowers. It's not about that. It's to keep the pipeline of money going to these institutions that are indoctrinating generations of American kids into stupid philosophies and destroying the country, essentially. You know, that's what this is for. That's why, like, you know, and I know there's like the basic unfairness of the thing, but like, if we could claw it back from the universities, then like I wouldn't mind if people could like discharge it in bankruptcy, even though like it's still not fair, obviously, but like, you know, let people discharge it in bankruptcy as long as we can go back to the college and say, this person defaulted on their student loan debt, so we're going to come take that from you guys. And I mean, like, watch how quickly they would stop admitting everybody who they do, you know, like watch how quickly the gender studies departments would disappear because they know that they're not equipping people for real life. They know that they're not preparing people for any kind of contribution to society. And I say that as somebody like, I like education for education's sake. I like learning things. I'm not saying that it's the job of colleges necessarily just to teach people how to be good employees, good cogs in the corporate machine. But like, you have to give people a sense of what it is to work hard, a sense of what it is to accomplish things, and some kind of skills or way of thinking that somebody needs, right? Like, that's why lawyers make a ton of money. It's not because they paid for the degree, you know, it's because they learned a bunch of stuff that's actually like useful to people, right? And doctors, the same thing. I mean, like, you have to have people, engineers learn skills that are useful for society. Like, there are a whole bunch of things that colleges can teach you that's useful information, useful skills, and, you know, is learning for learning's sake. I mean, every hard science, every math, every engineering, like, that would all, you know, still thrive under a system where colleges had to cover people who defaulted on their debt, right? But what would go away would be the useless degrees, the psychology degrees and the marketing degrees and the, sports medicine degrees and everything else that like people have no business getting. It's such a racket. It's such a racket. You think, and liberals love to point out like, oh, well, in Europe, college is free. Well, yeah, it's free for some people. They give you a test when you're about 14 years old in most European countries and decide what you're going to go into if you have aptitude for math or science or physics or, writing or philosophy or whatever it is. And that's the track that you're put on. And yeah, if you're one of the top kids in physics in the country, you can go to college and study physics for free all day long. And they'll give you a stipend to live on and an apartment and the whole deal. But there's a whole bunch of people who don't get to do that. And they decide that when you're like 14 years old. The American system doesn't work that way, for better or worse. It is what it is. But the truth is that the kids who are really talented at this stuff will find a way to go to college. And not only will they find a way to go to college, but they will also be making enough money eventually to pay back that college debt.
It is remarkable how progressives are happy to tell you about energy companies using their profits or doing stock buybacks or this industry or that industry, but they never say that about academia. They never criticize academia.
Yeah, academia is a huge grift. And like I say, I have enormous respect for learning. I love libraries. I like school, okay? Like, I'm not trying to knock education in general, but there is a broad spectrum of what colleges do. Right. And a lot of colleges are way overpriced for what you get out of them. I don't think that's at all controversial to say. And I think a lot of the kids who are in college don't actually like school or like learning or even want to be there other than for the social life and parties and stuff like that. Like, I don't think they want to be there to pursue their passion of studying marketing. Like, I just don't, I don't think that that's a thing that a lot of kids are in college to do. I just think that a lot of these kids would be way better off either going straight into the workforce, because you will learn way more for most jobs in the workforce than out of it. With some notable exceptions, like I say, like engineering, math, science, there's like some things where you have to reach a certain baseline of like learning stuff in order to do the job at all. But like lots of jobs, young people can kind of jump into and learn way more from being there. Like you have kids now like studying hospitality to like go into the hotel business or studying food science to like go to like open a restaurant. This is stuff that you can also just do, and you don't have to pay anybody tens of thousands of dollars a year to do it. Even like, we read a great article on this show. Maybe this should be in the best of, maybe a year or so ago even. I don't remember, about graduate student debt and which graduate schools are like the worst investment. And one of them's like this very prestigious film school. I want to say in New York, maybe Columbia Film School. So, a very prestigious.
Or Juilliard.
It wasn't Juilliard. I think. Anyway, they're one of them. I'll have to find the article again.
Yeah.
But it was like a very prestigious
Atlantic,
film school. I want to say the New York Times, maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember, but it was fascinating because, like, the professors sometimes would like try and like get their students to like talk up their scripts and stuff, because a lot of times like the students, if they had like just been in California and trying to get into film, would like have more connections and know more than they did.
That's great.
Even though it was like really prestigious and people spent tons of money to go there and it left them with tons of debt. But like there's so much of this that you get good at doing just by doing, not by sitting in a classroom studying it. And a lot of life is like that, there's no replacement for being out in the world doing stuff. And I think that we've decided that everybody needs to go to college. So we've spread out college to like cover a bunch more things than it needs to cover at all. And we've considered college such a baseline for achievement. And it doesn't do anything for most of these people. It's pure credentialism. It's pure just paying for a degree.
Well, you know what it also is?
Mm-hmm.
There's something about it. like just knowing some friends I've had who, both men and women, who who went to college, my age, whatever, and
Yeah.
had a good 4 years, essentially learned nothing, a little bit of something, came out, and all they did is apply for jobs as whatever, sales, marketing, whatever, that required a college degree,
Right.
and started, answering the phones, putting together sales packets, then whatever, and then moved up, and then moved across to something else. But it is a general wink wink Yankee litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to say, like, you're at least doing the right thing. I mean, and you're at the very least, you've gone through a process that, and probably more so 30 years ago, 25 years ago, would weed more undesirables out. It's at least you've been to the club with a cover charge, so you're a little better clientele.
Well, sure. I mean, and that's part of the appeal of it, right? Is it's like more of a signaling mechanism than anything else. But as we've sent more and more kids to college that don't belong there, you dilute the signaling mechanism and you make it less powerful. So it becomes more of a scam then, the further you go along, right? So there's a problem because it's like saying that, it's like deciding like, okay, well, people who get college degrees like do better in life. Okay. Well, people who wear ties to work seem to make a lot more money. So let's go around and let's give all the kids who work at McDonald's neckties to wear to work. And like, maybe there's something there, like people who are at the margin, like if you're sort of in an almost there job where if you wear a tie and you like evoke professionalism, it'll be easier for you to move up or something. But like mostly the tie has no bearing on why the people make more money. It's just sort of a coincidence of the way people dress for work and like giving like, and now say, like, well, ties really make people make more money their whole life. So we're going to start charging people $50,000 for a tie. It'll be worth it. They'll make more money through their lifetime. Like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, now you've made the tie worth even less because you handed out ties to a bunch of people who work at McDonald's. So now, like, it actually doesn't mean anything at all. Like, it really didn't mean much to start with, but now you've turned it into just, like, a total waste of space until you start to look around and you see people working at McDonald's wearing a tie and you think, wow, what an idiot. They spent $50,000 on a tie, Like,
right.
That's what this is. That's what we've done to a college education, is it used to kind of maybe mean something about like, you work hard or at least you tried in school. You must be at least sort of smart or come from a good family or you have some connection, like you're a person who's got their life together a little bit. But like the more you just give them out to everybody and make sure everybody gets one, the more now it doesn't mean anything at all to have a college degree. And so now the people that are really hurt, that are really scammed by this are the people who spent $50,000 on a tie and are still working at McDonald's.
Right. I think that you're so right about that. And it was a lot different a long time ago. When my dad went to college, he was from Hardwick, Vermont. And although he was a well-read person, and he had a well-read father who worked in newspapers and this and that, none of them he was the first one to go to college, and the last one, as a matter of fact.
Last Shattuck with the degree.
But a guy from Hardwick, Vermont, ending up at Boston University, at a university, the influx of information, knowledge, etc., that you were getting compared to what you had.
Right.
They did have good teachers, strict good teachers that they still remembered, into their 60s and 70s, people in his class in elementary school and high school who were just like fantastic. And I have no doubt that the high school system back then, when you were taking French, you were learning French. And Your
dad probably learned more in high school than most of these kids know by the time they graduate from college.
Definitely.
Because, I mean,
and actually, I can even see with some of the elegant letter writing he wrote in college to his girlfriend and she wrote back. She was from Stoneham, Mass. And they
corresponded.
And it was elegant, perfect penmanship, perfectly done, eloquent. my goodness, it was but I think like for them that was a thing. You were going from northern Vermont, from farming country, into a university setting where the world was poured into your head, and that was something. I just think that the times have changed.
Oh yeah, I mean even like and it's funny because colleges are harder to get into, but they're harder to get into in more and more inscrutable ways. And this is something that they've continued to do with like the wokeification of education, right? Like eliminating standardized testing, or de-emphasizing it at any rate at some schools, getting rid of it altogether, counting like all these extracurricular activities and personality scores and other stuff in race, obviously, too, clearly. But I mean, it's one factor out of many, but, it used to be that if you were smart and worked hard, you could do well on these tests, and that was a ticket into these good schools. Nowadays, you can have perfect SAT scores, but if you don't also like play piano and sail or come from an underprivileged background or speak 5 languages or have like a fascinating story to tell about the time you went on a trip to Nicaragua and helped the poor people there or whatever, like if you don't have an absolutely packed life story and resume to explain why you get to be there, it's so hard to get in. And at the same time, the academic standards are getting lower and lower. So even like when I went to school, I went to Tufts, and it wasn't as hard to get into as colleges are even now, but it was, fairly rigorous. And I got into Tufts, and so did lots of other people, and a ton of them had to take like remedial essay writing and stuff once they got there. Like couldn't write a 5-paragraph essay once they were there, needed to retake all these classes that you could like easily test out of in a second. Like
that's incredible.
And it was amazing to me because I took all like AP classes and stuff, and for the most part, except for like the math and science classes, like chemistry and math and stuff, and things that I hadn't taken in high school, like economics and stuff, right? Like a lot of the softer classes were like easier than my high school classes. Like the French classes, even like the ones that I tested into, were like easier than my high school French classes. And, the Latin was probably like roughly at the same level. It wasn't like necessarily harder or easier, but realistically speaking, like that's a good school.
Right.
What are the kids doing at kind of these like mid-range schools? What are they getting into college knowing, and what do they know by the time that they leave? Because I don't think it can even compare to like what your dad probably learned just in high school. It's certainly less than, Abraham Lincoln taught himself at home from books. It's absolutely embarrassing the level to which we've let our education standards sink, at the same time, like promising that everybody's going to get ahead. And it's not like that in other countries, and a big part of the issue is that we've made a decision in this country, education-wise, that we want to make sure that everybody reaches a certain baseline level, that's like more important to us than really getting a bunch of elite smart kids what they can do and let them, get everything they can out of their education. And in a way that they don't in other countries. I mean, like my cousins in Serbia were always astonished at how like few classes we took in high school. Like, because we took like 1 year of chemistry, 1 year of biology. They're like, you don't take all the sciences every year, and you don't like read all the Russian authors. They were like, what do you even do in high school? I was like, and they were, but they just like let people fail too. Like kids just can like fail out of the grade. Like they don't care. They're not going to lower the standards to make sure like everybody can get out of high school. There's no like MCAS where it's like the school has to get a certain percentage of the kids to pass the MCAS. It's not like that there. They're just like, okay, cool. Well, you know what? You're going to be a plumber, and that's cool. And like in a way, it's a lot less elitist.
Right.
Because it lets people who are not school people, you for example, we're not necessarily a school person. There was never going to be any reason to make you learn like algebra 2.
Right. All those requirements did is cause friction between me and my family, my parents. and cause us to have, knockdown, drag-out fights and get in fights with my dad. It hurt our relationship for years.
I mean, you still probably don't know how to solve a quadratic equation.
Frank, no. What the freak is that?
And you're not, like, worse off for it. You don't need to know that in your life.
No.
But, like, there's people that wanted to know how to solve a quadratic equation and, like, couldn't learn it until much later because they were dragging along the Tom Shaddocks of the world and trying to get them to learn it, too.
No, we had a great caller yesterday doing my radio show on WTIC, News Talk 1080 AM in Hartford. And he said that he teaches in community college, and that they're teaching the kids straight arithmetic when they first get in.
Yeah.
He said that the kids know nothing when they get to him.
Yeah.
They have no knowledge base of anything.
The public schools are a total disaster in a lot of these places.
It's like a disaster, Alice. If you were doing what for instance, the Hartford public schools, 25% of the kids graduate with
like proficient in reading.
Correct. That's correct. And they went after Trump University. Parents are paying like $18,000 per kid to go to Hartford public schools in taxes. It costs $1,800 or $18,000, whatever.
That's like what they're spending per child.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, who's going to jail for this?
Somebody shivvy.
If you're a poor kid, especially in a crap community, you're effed.
Right, and then they have the nerve to like go and call charter schools a scam.
Right.
Or like some of them go out of business. I mean, like you should go out of business. Like, that's a feature, not a bug. If bad schools go out of business, that's great. I remember having this argument when they tried to raise the charter cap in Massachusetts, and a bunch of people in our town were like, "But they take the taxpayer money with them when they go out of business." I'm like, "No, they don't. They go out of business, and then we stop paying them. Unlike you, who we just have to pay forever and ever and ever, like whether you fail kids or not." You know, the way we do school in the United States is an embarrassment globally, and it could be so much better. I'm not saying it has to be as like rigid as Europe does it, right? But we do need to let go of this idea that everybody needs to go to college, everybody needs to graduate high school with these like certain things, and we need to offer more rigorous coursework to kids who want it and need it.
Free yes. Hell yeah.
I mean, we should have more exam schools. We should be offering more opportunities to kids who want to and can succeed, right? Like, and sending kids to like Boston Latin or like Bronx Science high schools, right? Like that's what we should be doing. Not all this woke crap that's like literally replacing this stuff.
Yes.
They're trying to like replace exams at exam schools that have given, for example, like so many immigrant kids the opportunities to get ahead who are poor, and replacing it with like this fuzzy woke stuff that allows, it's a system that's like more, it's more possible to abuse, right? Like look at is it called like the Varsity Blues scandal or something stupid?
Yes.
Like all the famous people who like paid money to get their kids into college. They did that by like getting coaches to lie and say they were good at sports and stuff, and like getting people to write essays for them and things like that. If you just based it on test scores, like you wouldn't even be able to cheat the system. I mean, like, I guess you could like pay somebody to take the test for you, but then that gets trickier, right? Like things that's a little more like difficult to fake than getting somebody to write a fake letter of recommendation or something, right? Like if we had harder school and real grades, and we just let people get the grades that they get, and we gave people tests and let them get the scores that they get, and sent people to college based on that, like it would be kinder to everybody, right? Like, why are we scamming kids who can't make enough money when they get out of college to pay college loans? Why are we scamming them by telling them it's somehow going to help them to send them to these places for tens of thousands of dollars a year? It's absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd. And yeah, they made the dumb decision. They signed on the dotted line. But I'm willing, honestly, to like I say, if we could bankrupt the colleges by doing it, like if we could claw back the money from them, I'd be okay with giving those people a break because, yes, they made the choice to take the loans and whatever else, but like people make bad financial decisions, especially when they're young. And especially this one, you have every like quote trusted adult telling you that this is the thing that you have to do. Your parents, your teachers, your guidance counselors, your doctor, like everybody's saying you have to do this, right? This is how you make life work. And it's a lie, frankly.
I completely agree. Question for you.
Yes.
How old were you when you first...
Yes.
How do I put this delicately? The first time you ever got your driver's license, how old were you?
18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
So that's late. That's a little...
I was busy.
I get it. I understand. So you were 18 years old.
Yep.
Dateline, West Haven, Connecticut. Fewer teens going for their driver's licenses has been a nationwide trend, and it's resulting in much quieter driving schools. Driving schools across Connecticut are reporting a decline in attendance of teens seeking licenses. Nationally, the number of licensed 18-year-olds has declined about 20% from 1983 to 2018. 20% from 1983 to 2018. Only 5% of all licensed drivers in 2020 were between the ages of 15 to 20, which is almost 5% less than the previous year. Now, they claim the pandemic had to do with it. The things on the road have to... The traffic accidents have to do with it. There's Uber, etc. There's all sorts of other things. But why didn't you get your license when you were 16 and a half? You said you were busy, but can't...
I was busy, so I didn't...
Well, you were busy getting driven around. Who drove you around? Boyfriend? Family?
Not necessarily. I mean, like, well, first of all, I could walk a lot of the places I needed to go. Like, I could walk to high school, and we had a bus, too. So I didn't really... That's, like, what I mostly did. And then I also went to swim team practice, which, like, I could get a ride with other people going to swim team practice, usually. But, yeah, then I got my license my senior year. So... Maybe I was 17. Now I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Well, that's fine. But you got your license. As an adult, you essentially got your license pretty much right away. So
yeah, I mean, I think I got it my senior year of high school. I also failed the test the first time I took it too. So that
I could see that. Did not disclose that to me before. I can tell you that. So I think this is a bad trend. I think it's a bad trend, and I'm going to exclude women from this. I think it's a bad thing that young men aren't kicking and screaming, scratching, clawing to get their license. And I think it's a bad sign that 16-and-a-half-year-olds don't want the freedom to be able to hop in a car and bolt.
I think it's also more expensive to own a car than it was.
Fine, own a car, use your parents' car, whatever. Some modicum of freedom. And at all. Like, I got my license exactly 16 and a half. As a matter of fact, it was the same day I first shaved, oddly enough. Exactly. Because there was no way I was not going to. That was everything. Before that, me and my friend, John, who's been on this podcast, we just used to walk around the world, And then we had the freedom to drive now, to drive to weird places and do stuff and meet. It was such an important... It was the thing. And it was, obviously this is before there was no Google Earth. There was no nothing. The video games weren't as good. Now with VR, I could pretty much go travel to Belize, and have a virtual meal and have virtual sex with somebody and come back in my head. But I just don't get... I don't get how, especially young men, don't want licenses. They don't want to get the freak out of Dodge as soon as possible. I don't get that. I think that's unhealthy to not have wanderlust, especially for young men. To not have this feeling that you want to be untethered from the family as much as possible, as quick as possible. And also, to be in a big driving machine that can go really fast if you wanted to, or go, whatever. I think this is a terrible sign. I would hate to if our kids were apathetic. I could take it or leave it. We're just going to play Minecraft. That would suck. We need this. There's a certain... I know the times have changed, and now 16 Candles is way too rapey for anything. But young men should want to drive in cars and hook up with girls. They should. They should. The parents... That should be something that's on the radar so that you're saying, hey, get home at this time. Hey, you're going to do the thing. Young men want to do the things that young men should want to do. And if they're now doing something else or getting fulfilled, on like Minecraft or Farscape, whatever it's called. What's the one? Far?
Roblox?
Well, whatever. But I think that's a little younger. But
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I just
I forget.
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
But
Yeah.
I just that's not good. Men should be out being young men somewhere, somehow. Carouse, do something stupid and frivolous. Be a dumbass. Be something the cop slaps you for. Not ridiculously, but I mean.
But doesn't it kind of go to the college thing too? Is that like when you're in college, you're continuing to like live in a little bit of a terrarium.
Totally.
Versus like being out and doing stuff in the world. And for a lot of kids, it would be much, much more valuable for them to go out and get a job, literally any job, and learn to do something or several somethings and find out what you like. For a lot of people doing, a physical job or a working class job can be, super fulfilling, and you can learn all kinds of skills that are really marketable. And for other people, doing a hard labor job can teach you that you don't want to do a hard labor job and you
Right.
better figure out how to do something else. I mean, like, whatever it is, like, you learn more about yourself from doing all kinds of work. Like, I haven't loved every job I've had, but I've loved things about most of them, at least some things about most of them, and learned all kinds of things at most of them, and have some curiosity about the world and how things work, and want to have jobs. And I think that it's like wanting a license too. Like, well, why would I do that when I can just play Grand Theft Auto? Like, okay, well, why would I go get a job when I can just be in college and write papers and hang out in my dorm room, like, and go to the dining hall where people take care of me? And I think that it all fits into this sort of this infantilizing we're doing of young people that's really toxic and damaging.
Completely and totally agree. Let's do the New York Times stuff tomorrow because we're going to get to the chat, okay?
Okay.
But the New York Times story is fantastic. Fantastic.
Which New York Times story?
The Guild.
Oh, yes.
The Guild eating the company alive.
I also still want to talk about quiet quitting because that's been everywhere.
Yes.
So maybe tomorrow we'll do that
tomorrow,
as well.
Which is our last full real time
before vacation.
Together podcast. There's another one that's going to be original content that I'll release Sunday. And then we'll voice some stuff, or I'll voice some stuff. I'll do some mixed in with some best of, maybe one or two shows, really. But, I mean, time for the chat. Here we go.
Let her speak. Let her speak. Let her speak. Let Rosalind speak.
Oh, Rosalind speak. I dare say let Alice speak. Alice spoke most of today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I spoke a lot today.
You did. You took over. You know what? You were empowered by your weight loss and your undulating breasts, which you bared very...
I didn't. I was adjusting my shirt before the show, and you...
Oh, please,
Well, if
Alice.
that's the case,
You're
then
so
why
close.
don't I have my shirt like that now? Because I don't want to have my shirt like that.
Because you're playing little kitten games, Alice. That's why.
No.
Yes, you are.
That's in your head.
No. It is not. It is not.
I didn't know you were taking a picture of me then.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
Walker, and I'm the president of the My name's Walker, and I'm the president of the Alistatic fan club. I was just wondering how someone that looks like Tom courted such a fair maiden.
Well,
That's
it's a good question.
for
You look good today, I got to tell you, man. You look good today. Even the shots with you wearing a top are good. You know what? I don't know. You guys, I don't know the secret sauce. A lot of you guys are batting out of your league. I don't know how that works. Most of the men I know are batting out of their league. I don't know how it works. Believe me, I spent most of... I had an abysmal record for many seasons. I was the Patriots of the 70s and 80s before I became the Patriots of 2002 for that
My
brief...
mom used to say that all men marry up.
Correct.
I think your best ofs should be all the cuts of Salty Alice and when Tom was yelling out loud at your children. And I'm wondering, when is the Millennial Express coming back?
Ooh,
That's a good question. I've discussed that a little bit. It kind of depends.
that is a good question. They have
The Millennial Express has gotten some adult jobs, and
well, yes. So they have professional conflicts right now that wouldn't necessarily allow
lend themselves to the lighthearted murder podcast.
Not that we can't grab Jane and get her back on here, right?
True.
And Caroline as guests, they were great guests too.
True.
They're great. We got to check in with Caroline. My goodness. So that's right. So tomorrow we'll do another show, and I'm going to do some stuff on social media the whole time where I'm en route and when I'm in during the trip as well.
Oh, good.
We got to.
I can't wait to find out if you're forced to buy a second plane seat or not.
Yeah. Oh, well, I have to get a second. If I get a second seat, that's
a deal breaker.
Oh, that's low. That's low.
Hopefully not.
They'll be next to each other, right?
Hopefully not. I can't believe I laughed at that. That was a really lame joke. Thank you, everybody. Keep getting in your requests for best ofs. There's some good ideas out there. You can reach us at the Chat. That's at burnbarrelpodcast.com.
Never gets old, right?
Well, our kids never gets old. You can also email us burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. You can talk to us on social media. That's at burnbarrelpod on Twitter or facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast.